How often do we get out there and we hesitate from going forward because we're afraid of what might happen to us, or what someone might think about us, or what someone might say to us, or what gossip or rumor someone may spread about us. But all that mattered to Jesus, it didn't matter if he got stoned that day. All that mattered was somebody got to feel the presence of God. That somebody got to be touched by him. That somebody had an encounter with him that changed their lives. It changed Lazarus' life. It changed those Jews' life. It changed Mary and Martha's life. It changed so many individuals' life because they had an encounter with the power of God. They felt something more. They experienced it. In Genesis 6:9, it says, this is the genealogy of Noah. It says, Noah was a just man, perfect in his generation. Noah walked with God. And like I was saying earlier, Noah didn't even have a Bible, but he had a relationship. Noah didn't need a Bible because his relationship was so strong. Noah could hear so clearly from God. He had such an encounter with God that when God would say something that seemed so far-fetched that he said, yes, Lord, I'll do it. When he said something that seemed literally impossible, that nobody could explain, he said, God, I know your voice. And I know you're saying this, so I will give my life to the calling. I will give my life to the purpose in which you've sent me. I will give my life to the things that look foolish, as long as I'm doing them for you, God. I will give my life to whatever it takes. They didn't have to have a preacher or a Bible to rely on. They had to rely on the relationship. And I'm asking you today, are you relying on your relationship or are you relying on man? Good. Are you relying on a relationship with God? Today it's become hard to keep a steady relationship with Jesus. But not because of him, but because of us. You say, well, what do you mean? Let me tell you. In America especially, we have diluted commitments. We've diluted contracts, covenants, and relationships. And we've made them replaceable and able to be tossed out. Yeah. A man's word means nothing. Yeah. A contract no longer means anything. We have corrupt systems that put them in place, corrupt systems that toss them out. We have systems that say it's okay to do this and okay to do that. So the world gets to a place and saying, well, if the government says it's okay, then it's okay. No, if God says it's okay, then it's okay. And if God says it's a sin, if this word says it's a sin, then let me tell you, who cares what man says? Because like Noah did, he said, I don't care what you have said or what you called me or who you think I am or you think I'm crazy. I will spend my life giving to the cause. I will spend my life fulfilling what God has called me to do. And I want to do this so you can have an experience with God. Amen. He wanted others to begin to experience God. He wanted others to have a chance and a hope of life, even lived more. But people wouldn't listen. And we're getting to those same days again. But just because they won't listen doesn't mean you stop doing it. Noah didn't stop when nobody listened. Well, nobody's going to help me, God, so I guess I can't build this. God, you've called me to start a church, Lord, but nobody's helping me. How am I going to do this? He's saying, I've called you, not them. So if they jump on board, great. If they listen to what I'm calling them to do, great. But if they don't, I still called you. Yeah. Well, God, nobody else is preaching the gospel anymore. That's so, 90s, Lord. Who cares? I've called you. Will you listen? I've called you. But people think that's foolish in these times and these days. He's saying, I've called you. Genesis 6, 5 through 12, it says, Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of their hearts were continually evil. Every intent, even the thought of their hearts, was continually evil. And the Lord was sorry that he made man on earth. Could you imagine being one of those men? That God is so sorry that he even made you. It says, and he grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man who I have created from the face of this earth, both man and beast, creeping thing, and birds of the air. For I am sorry that I have made them. It says, but Noah, he found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I want to be the man that when all of the world may turn against God, that I find grace in the eyes of the Lord. That God says, there's still a man that will serve me. There's still a man that will go out. I can't destroy this world without saving him. I can't do this because there's still some out there that are following me. That we need to find grace in the eyes of the Lord. It says this was the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generation. Noah walked with God, and Noah begot 3 sons. It says the earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted the way of the earth. How easy would it have been for Noah to have compromised his beliefs? That everything, every thought of every man was continually evil. To be the only man, the only family left standing that believed in God. And to continue running forward with it. No one else around him. Everyone around him told him that he was doing wrong. Everyone judged him, but he didn't care. But rather, he chose the hard life to receive the greater eternal life. Would you be willing to choose the hard life in order to receive the greater eternal life? Noah's life wasn't easy. Let me tell you, it came with full persecution. It came with being the outcast, the laughing stock. Sometimes we feel as if we want to be accepted. Well, I don't feel accepted. I don't feel loved. Well, your acceptance and your love shouldn't come from out here. It should come from within here. Yeah. This is where that acceptance should come from. This is where that love and that joy. You may say, well, the world is so down and so depressing, and it gets me depressed. Don't let it get you depressed, because your depression and your joy shouldn't come from the world. It says that it comes from within, from He who lives inside of you, Jesus Christ. Begin to receive joy like the rivers of life that begin to flow out of you, that this joy should flow out of you so greatly that it's contagious. Amen. That it begins to spread. It begins to do something in the world. But don't look around and judge the things that are happening around you. Whether you're doing a good job or what God has called you to do. Yes. You go to God and you receive from Him. Amen. Maybe you say, well, maybe I'm just not doing a good job. No man's receiving from me. No lives are being changed. God didn't call you to have results. He called you to do what He's called you to do. That's good. It doesn't matter about the results. It matters about your obedience. Yeah. And if your obedience is being the outcast, so let it be. Noah was the outcast, but if it wasn't for his obedience, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for his obedience, we could have never had any of this. But guess what? There was one man that stood up and continued to be obedient. Why? Because he had an encounter with God. Because he experienced Him firsthand. It wasn't just about reading. It was about something coming to life to him. It wasn't just about praying to something in the atmosphere. It was about praying to a God and having a relationship with Him. Having a God that talked back. Y'all have a God that talks back. Y'all have a God that wants a relationship, that wants to continue moving you forward.